Hi, we are live. How's everyone doing today? It looks like some people are starting to log in. We'll
Awesome.
just wait kind of a few minutes and see if anybody else is going to jump in here. I know it's kind of a late ad, but so grateful. And I believe you can, let's see, whoever's here, you can always put a chat and message us if you want to say who you are. You're more than welcome to do that. So we are going to be tape recording this today and getting it out to everybody. And so we'll just wait a few minutes for our webinar. Everybody. All right, well, let's get started. I think people maybe will get on in here. And like I said, we're going to, Malaina and I, we're going to send out that link later. So if you did not get access right now, you'll definitely be able to get some access later. Hi, Flinner, how are you? Glad you could join us today. So our webinar that we're speaking about today is the power of local scholarships. And I am Dr. Amanda Sterk, and I am with College UnMazed. I'm also the Director of Acceleration Programming at Florida Southwestern State College. Definitely a huge advocate and writer, blogger, all things college related, especially for our Florida students, because it is kind of a complicated process. And so I'm really excited that I have Malaina Mote here with me today from the Southwest Florida Community Foundation. And we are going to be just really talking about different types of scholarships, but predominantly the local scholarships, and that's what you do. Malaina, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do and what your role is at the foundation?
Sure. My name is Malaina Mote, and I am the scholarship coordinator at the Southwest Florida Community Foundation. And what that basically means is I'm managing all of our scholarship funds and going through the application process with the students from start to finish. So from the beginning, when they're browsing the scholarships, to applying, to then awarding, and then getting them to the college.
And it's a big process because I know the thing that I love about the local scholarships, it's our local community members supporting students here in the community, which is really impactful for so many families.
Absolutely.
So I'm really excited that you're here. We're going to kind of get started here. And so one of the things that I wanted to kind of just give a brief overview, because as I continue to present more of these webinars, we'll be talking more about these different types of scholarships throughout the month, because it's really the big time. You know, students have maybe got their college applications in, and now they're starting to think about, how do I pay for college? And so there are multiple different types of scholarships out there for students. The most predominant that a lot of students hear about and they know about are what we call institutional scholarships, which is basically when a university awards varying amounts of money to students to come to that university. And micro scholarships is really just, it's an institutional scholarship. So it's a website called raise.me, which basically starting your freshman year, you can start accruing money and scholarships for different institutions throughout the United States. So raise.me is a fantastic site. And then you have program-specific scholarships. That could be like a Take Stock in Children, where if you take part of a program, maybe military, you are part of a program, and then because of that program, you get money to go to different schools, university. We are going to be talking a little bit today about federal scholarships, or really what it's grant money. So that's a great way to tap into our government and who you kind of your parents and what they do and income. There's a lot of determining factors, but federal scholarships are a great way to go. There's also national scholarships, which are the big companies like a Coca-Cola, the National Hispanic Heritage Foundation. There's those big ones where you have a lot more people going for those scholarships, but they're larger denominations. You know, they could be anywhere from $10,000, $40,000 all the way up to, you know, full rides. You have state scholarships. One of the good things about state scholarships here in the state of Florida is our Bright Futures. And a lot of students really work hard to qualify for Bright Futures and the other scholarships that are awarded. Those are only for your state, though. So if you decide to go to University of Georgia, it won't transfer. It's for our state universities. And lastly, we have the local scholarships, which we're going to be talking more about today. Now, one of the things I think a lot of kids don't understand or realize is that to get these types of scholarships can come from all different factors. And Malaina, so I have on here merit, demographic, and financial aid. And so merit, when you think about academics, can you think of some scholarships that you guys have that really look at academics and how kids have maybe accelerated, taken on college level courses? What do you look at in merit scholarships?
Yes, so a lot of our merit scholarships have GPA requirements, whether it's unweighted or weighted GPA. That's how we kind of measure the merit of the student. And also their ACT and SAT scores we take into account, as well as their extracurricular activities and their leadership activities. All are included in our merit scholarship descriptions.
Fantastic. And so, and then there's demographic. So demographic could be, it could be your heritage, what type of, if you're Hispanic, if you're Native American. There's certain scholarships for certain demographics. If you're female in the STEM field, I know you have some particular ones that maybe are female oriented or male oriented, correct?
Yes, absolutely. So we have a couple that are for women in business, all the way to male athletes. So it just depends on what the donor intent is and who they see the student that they would like to award a scholarship.
Absolutely. And then you have I call it the U factor, a little bit different from merit and your academics, but this could be maybe a passion of yours, something that's unique about you. I had some students that were really into horses and horseback riding. And that's not really a merit, that's not really a demographic, but that's something they're very passionate about, and they're able to get awarded some scholarships because of some of the things that they have done as well. And then you have the financial aid ones, where basically students have a financial need and they need a little bit extra support making their college dreams come a reality. And I believe you have some of those as well, some
Yes.
Financial need. Okay, awesome. So you can see that really, and I know you're going to be talking about, there's a lot of different scholarships for all different types of students. There's no one particular student you're looking for.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
So basically, I'm just going to go over some of the pointers and tips that I have for students to help them get through the application process as smoothly as possible, and also what we require here for our local scholarships as well. And that's going to be what entails the Scholarship 101.
Fantastic.
So at the Southwest Florida Community Foundation, we award 150 different students with scholarships. Like Amanda said earlier, no scholarship is the same. Like I said, with the donor intent, we have donors come in, they think of a specific student, maybe that they see in themselves, or if they're making a scholarship in memory of someone, some type of characteristics that remind them of their loved one. And those are the donor intent that we go by to award the scholarships to students. So none of them are the same. It's not just one particular student that gets the scholarship each time. And not all of them have high GPA requirements. That's a common misconception that students have. Oh, well, I don't have a 4.0 GPA. How can I ever receive a scholarship? We actually have some scholarships that require B averages. So it's not always about the 4.0 GPA. And then we have some students that feel like only minorities win scholarships. And it's very important for students to understand that although there are some minority specific scholarships, there are also scholarships out there that aren't looking for just the minority student. Not in all of our scholarships are at least $1,000. We like to award an amount that can help that student the most. So not saying that any type of lower scholarship is not worthy, but we at the foundation, we really feel as if $1,000 is a very good baseline to award a student to help them get through the door at college, at least, because we understand that financial burden is the main reason why most college students drop out or stop attending colleges, just because that financial burden is making it so they can't get through college. And I like to let people know that I don't pick the winners on my own. Being a scholarship reader is actually one of the only volunteer activities that we have at the foundation. So we really take advantage of that and get people, community leaders from all over our community to help us pick out those scholarship winners. So it's not just me, it's not just one person picking a scholarship winner or recipient. And only the scholarships worth around $10,000 or more require interviews. And some students may not apply for scholarships because they feel like they're not good at first impressions. Maybe they don't want to go through the whole interviewing process. But I like to help them understand that not all of our scholarships require interviews. And if you are eligible for a scholarship that requires an interview, I know like Dr. Sterk, I know there's people at high schools that will help the students with interviewing skills.
And it's important. Sorry to interrupt, but I know I had
okay.
a student last year that had an interview with you. And unfortunately, actually, I'm sorry, it wasn't with you guys. It was with another school. But the issue was they were trying to do like a Skype thing. Then everything wasn't working. So it's really important that you plan ahead when you do offer a scholarship and make sure that you show up on time, that you're dressed appropriately. But you're right, getting some of those interview skills is really nice so that you can articulate, who you are and what you've done.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's what the interviewers are really looking for from the student is just to see that drive and that passion, and what more can you talk about to make you seem more passionate than your goals and your dreams and what you really want to accomplish in your lifetime. 20 of our scholarships are renewable for 4 years, and that's a big thing for students to understand too, is not every scholarship is just a 1-year scholarship. We do have several scholarships that can be awarded throughout the duration of their college career. Usually that takes about 4 years. So we will award the amount of the scholarship throughout the 4 years of the student's college career. So you could win a scholarship that will grant you money each year of your college career. Whether it's your freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, you will get a scholarship amount throughout that same college career that you are having.
And it sounds like we have a question out there. Now you can feel free to type it if you would like. And I know one of the things with this webinar, if you want to type any questions at any time, even if this is saved and replayed later, we will actually get an email and can answer your questions later. So it's really great. So no matter if you're watching this live or if you are, watching this as a replay, feel free to type your questions and we can get back to you on that. So sorry about that. Go ahead.
Oh, you're fine. Yeah, no worries. So at the Southwest Florida Community Foundation, our scholarship applications will open on January 8th, 2018, and then they will close on March 4th, which is a Sunday at 11:59 p.m. So that's not a very big window for students to submit their applications. So I really want to push the January 8th open date to at least get it started, so you know what scholarships you're eligible for, what type of things you need to include in your essay, just to start the process so you're not doing everything last minute. So for our applications, the requirements are at least 1 letter of recommendation. You can have up to 3 letters of recommendation. And if you want to pick different people, like maybe your coach, maybe a teacher, and maybe a pastor or minister, someone who can speak to your character and talk to the scholarship reviewers to help them understand the type of person or the type of student that you are. A high school transcript is also needed, and make it your latest high school transcript. So when you come back from winter break or anytime in the spring, get your high school transcript to submit with your application. Also, a 2-page personal essay, your FAFSA form, and your SAT or ACT score report is required for most of our merit scholarships.
Now, does that have to be sent directly from ACT or SAT, or they just need a printout of their ACT, SAT form?
Oh, good question. Yes. So it could be your scanned copy of your SAT, ACT score report. All of our application is to be submitted online through the application portal, a scholarship view that we are using this year. So you don't have to mail in anything or email anything. It's all going to be uploaded into your application. So whether it's a scanned copy of your ACT, SAT report, or the email that you get with your scores, either one would work just fine.
And I don't think every scholarship requires an ACT or SAT, do they? Or is that just for the merit scholarship? Okay, so you have to really pay attention to each scholarship and what the requirements are.
Absolutely, yes. Fantastic. So here are just some pointers that I feel would work the best when trying to help a student get through their scholarship application. So the personal essay is really the student's opportunity to introduce themselves to the scholarship reviewer. So I like to say, well, don't, fill it with a whole bunch of factual information about where you're from or the school that you attended. Really talk about you as a person, talk about your dreams, your goals, what you want to accomplish in your lifetime, any extracurricular activities that you were involved with during your high school career or your life even, any struggles that you overcame, any adversity. Really talk about those things in your personal essay, because that is what the scholarship reviewers will get and will score on your scholarship application. Complete your FAFSA now if you haven't already done so. All of our scholarships require a FAFSA form, even our merit and our need based scholarships all require FAFSA. And this is really to push our FAFSA First initiative to make students realize that there is help out there. And although you may not need it or you may not want it, it may not be cool to be, need financial assistance. Why not take that opportunity and take advantage of it regardless of your financial status? And use your latest high school transcript that shows your unweighted and weighted GPA, because some scholarships require a weighted GPA and some require an unweighted GPA. And usually both of those are listed on your high school transcript. Ask for your reference letter now. So have those people in mind that you would like to write your reference letter, and ask them now and not wait until the last minute, because you want to give them time to write that letter. Maybe they'll forget about it and you have to remind them really quickly. Just give them enough time, because you want them to really spend time on it and have enough time to write a really good reference letter that they're not filling, with fluff and things that the scholarship reviewer will notice when they're reading the reference letter. And don't wait until the last minute. Don't wait until, February 28th or February 27th to fill out your scholarship application. Start it January 8th when it opens. Get through the pre-qualifying questions. Get through all of that stuff first, and then you'll be able to see the scholarships that you're eligible for and can work towards really establishing your scholarship application for those specific scholarships. And apply. Why not? You have nothing to lose, and you never know what you could win. So definitely just put yourself out there and apply for those scholarships, because like the previous slide said, we have a ton of them and a ton of money and a ton of donors just really wanting to help students in our community get into college.
And there's always been a few every year that, we were talking before the webinar, there's a baseball scholarship that, there's been a few years they haven't even given out the money and it's just sitting there. And so, and that's I think the beautiful thing about the local scholarships is you're not competing against 10,000 other students. You might be competing against 3, 5, 20, and so the fact that, you have a really local scholarships, you have one of the best ratios of possibly winning those scholarships. And for about an hour, 2 hours of work to get a possible $1,000 to $40,000 that's a good return on your investment.
Oh, yeah.
So absolutely. So yes, apply.
Yes. And one thing, I'm not sure if we're going to talk about it later, but I'm just going to put it out there just as a base. Please. You don't have to use your scholarship money only on tuition. Trust me, we've been in college. We know what it takes and how much it costs. You're going to need money for books. You're going to need money for room and board. If you have any labs, you're going to need money for those lab fees. So all of that scholarship money will come in handy later on as you get through college. So where do you go to apply? It's all online. So you can go to our website, floridacommunity.com. This is our homepage, and this is the Southwest Florida Community Foundation's official website. And if you go up to the scholarships tab, that will bring you to the scholarship page where you'll have a direct link that will lead you to our scholarship application. And the scholarship application homepage looks just like this. So you don't have to filter through any of our scholarships to see which ones you're eligible for, which ones you're not. Although you're more than welcome to, on step one, browse these scholarships, and you can see all of our scholarships and their scholarship descriptions if you would like. But what's really going to narrow down the scholarships that you yourself are eligible for is our pre-qualifying questions. So I know it's a lot of them. I'm not even going to lie. there's several questions and they may seem very random, but answer them honestly because those are specific questions for specific scholarships and your answer will determine whether or not you're eligible for them. And make notes of the scholarships that you are applying for because some of them have special essay requirements. So some of them have things that you need to include in your personal essay, whereas other scholarships don't. There's around 5 scholarships that have specific essay requirements, and you want to be aware of those, especially if you're applying for them. So you make sure that you include those in your essay so you can remain eligible for those scholarships. And you will submit one application. You only have to submit one application, and that application will go towards all of the scholarships that you are eligible for. I know in the past we've had it to where you had to submit one application for each of the scholarships that you're eligible for. But this year, we've changed our scholarship portal, and you would only have to submit one application. So that saves a lot of time and a lot of work for the students to hopefully push the drive to want to apply for them.
So you can actually apply for multiple scholarships in the foundation's application?
Yes, and all in one sitting. So after you answer the pre-qualifying questions, the next page will show a list of all of the scholarships that you are eligible for, whether it's long or short. And then you'll have the ability to look at each scholarship description and you'll check the box next to each scholarship that you want your application to be sent to. So that's probably the longest process is just getting through that first couple of steps. And that's why I said just start on the 8th so you can at least see. And then once you get through all of that, you'll be able to go into the actual application part. Yeah. Absolutely.
No, that's a question I get a lot. Can I apply to more than one? So yes.
Yes.
If you're eligible. Yeah.
If you're eligible. Mm-hmm.
So I think this was a slide that I did. And, I think as students start kind of like you were discussing, kind of attacking or thinking about how to start looking at scholarships and applying for scholarships, one of the things that I think as a family, people have to realize and ask themselves is how much time do I spend searching for scholarships? The nice thing about local scholarships is, like you said, you answer a few questions. It's very directive. These are the scholarships that you are eligible for. There are some websites you can get lost for hours and hours and hours and not even really find a pathway out. So that's a really nice thing I think about what you are talking about. It's nice, it's clear, but not doing something and not taking that time, not doing, it on when it opens versus the end of February, definitely can impact your application. You want to make sure that you have all their documents together. One of the things I see kids scrambling, and that's kind of what you had said before, Malaina, is that ask your recommenders early. Don't wait until the very end when everything's due, because it's not going to be high quality. So making sure that everything is there right at the get-go will make your process so much smoother. And deadlines. So what was the deadline again for the local scholarships? It opens when?
January 8th. And closes March 4th.
March 4th. And that is a firm deadline. That's not,
oh, yeah.
Dr. Sterk, I didn't get my stuff in. Well, you had, those, 2 months to do it. And I think it's really important to really understand what the financial goals are. Some kids say, oh, I don't need it. My parents had, a 529, or they have a savings plan, or, I might be getting Bright Futures. Like you said, you still have books, you still have transportation, you still have room and board, you still have fees. And what's really great, I think, is a lot of these scholarships, whether it's local, national, institutional, are stackable. So if you get one from the college, this would just be a bonus. And that just price keeps going off of the total amount that's due at the end of the semester. And so, we were talking about some myths earlier, and I hear these all the time. One, my grades aren't good enough. That's a common myth, isn't it? That now there are some merit-based scholarships, I remember a few years ago, one of my students received the scholarship from the Southwest Florida Community Foundation, which was basically average kids who want to do great things. That's the scholarship he won. It was $40,000 he won. And that was the scholarship. How about I don't have enough extracurriculars? What are some of the type of things that you're looking for in activities or involvement? What do you think is kind of, because I don't think that you have to do everything.
No. And some of our scholarships are very club specific. Like we have a 4-H and FFA club specific scholarship. And then most of them are just very broad, like well-rounded, was involved in the community, had leadership skills. And then the student is just going to have to express that in their personal essay of what those leadership activities and what those extracurriculars were or are.
Absolutely. And I think that's a key thing that you just mentioned was, if you're applying for a certain type of scholarship, you need to make sure really in your essay and in your recommendations that is brought out and you describe what they're looking for in that scholarship. So if it's a financial need one, somewhere it should discuss financial need. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
How about only people with high test scores get scholarships? No,
not true.
Not true at all. There's a lot of different types. For example, FSW is an open access college. And so we don't even require test scores when students, if they have a high school graduation. And I know you have several scholarships that are for FSW, like the FSW nursing program, I think is one. So again, you might not even need a test score for certain scholarships. I won't qualify, so I won't apply.
There's 150 local scholarships here. I'm sure you're eligible for at least one of them.
Exactly. My parents make too much money. Not every scholarship, again, going back to not every scholarship is financial need based. Some are based on merit, leadership, activities, program specific. And so it's not always about money. And we can all use help with college tuition.
And take some of that financial burden off of your parents, just a little bit.
Absolutely. Well, and I think people are starting to get smarter about not having loans and not taking out a lot of debt for their college education. All right, so just kind of some things as we're kind of, wrapping up here, some key documents that from my experience as a school counselor and being in the role that I am now, one of the biggest things as you start kind of embarking on the scholarship process is create a resume and basically go through and list out all the activities starting in ninth grade and how many hours you spent in those activities, who you contacted in the, like who you were under, was there leadership opportunities, was it community-based, was it faith-based, and really make sure as a student that that's edited thoroughly. Because in your application, for example, what are some of the things that you need to put in that application when students are applying?
Their goals and their how they want to achieve those goals is really like the main thing that we're looking for, because we really want to substantiate the workforce in Southwest Florida, even if the students aren't planning to stay and work in Southwest Florida. So we really want to push really talking about those goals and those dreams and how the student plans to get there.
Absolutely. And so, one of the things like you said, talking about leadership, community involvement, not that you want, them just to list all their activities, but having an idea. I think a lot of times kids don't think they qualify, but once they write down all the activities they've been in, they're actually surprised that they do fit a lot more qualifications than I think they believe. So
yes, like you said, and it doesn't even have to be school related. I mean, it could be church related. It could be community related if you're a part of a nonprofit, some type of way. It doesn't necessarily have to be strictly through your high school or your college.
Exactly. And then the recommendation letter. So one of the things that I always found very useful because I've written hundreds and hundreds of recommendation letters for my students, is if I have that resume, I don't always know when a student, what else they're involved in. I only know the piece that I'm connected to. And so having that idea and having that understanding of wow, I didn't know you're playing varsity sports. I didn't know that you were so involved with your church. I didn't realize every Sunday you went down and fed the homeless. Like there's just some things I don't always know. And so if you can give me your resume and give me some extra information, or even say, Dr. Sterk, this one's really about character. Can you talk about some leadership skills that I have? I'd rather focus my recommendation letter to make it work for the student versus just give me some guidelines. And it's okay then to maybe ask somebody else, oh, can you talk more about my academics or talk about my leadership, and kind of diversify there. So recommendation letters give us some time. And it is always nice if an educator or community member or somebody writes that recommendation letter to follow up with a thank you note, or maybe a little small, I call it a small token of appreciation. A $10 Starbucks card goes a long way in just saying thank you. Doesn't have to be, a big thing, but they do take time, and we work really hard at making sure it's right for students. The essay, any tips that you have on the essay as you've read them? I've read them. Edit.
Oh yeah, grammar, make sure it's grammatically correct. Type it in Word if you need to first, and really talk about yourself. And really make sure that the reader has by the end of your essay, will have a very good idea of the type of person that you are.
And this is different than like a college essay. So a lot of students try to skip this process and just submit the college essay. The college essay is more of a writing tool to show your depth and your writing skills. This type of essay is different.
Right.
And you want to explain kind of what you're looking for? So you're looking for...
We're not looking like for formatting or any type of syntactical type of thing. What we really want to make sure is that we understand you as a person, and that compares to your letters of recommendation. And then from there, we will go to, okay, does this person fit the criteria? So what will get you really through the door is just that personal essay, and just wording it and crafting it into a way where it's your story that has minimal grammatical errors and really gets that point across.
Yeah. So edit, and make sure, again, you're following the prompt for the scholarship. It is not a one size fits all. Now you can have a pretty solid essay but you're going to have to change it up a little bit to meet each essay prompt that's out there. The FAFSA, one of the big things is, you had stated it, if you have not yet done your FAFSA, that opened up in October. For Southwest Florida Community Foundation, you have to apply for FAFSA. Whether you're granted FAFSA or not, you need to get your application in. And now with the prior year, you should have already done those tax returns. You should already have them. It should be a pretty simple process. I know FSW, I'll give a plug for FSW, but they have like FAFSA days on campus where they'll actually sit down and help students and parents with their FAFSA. I know you guys do quite a bit as well, helping families. So definitely there's a lot of resources out there for filling out your FAFSA. Other things just that I kind of suggest as I've gone through this process with kids, know your deadlines. We've already said when it's due, and get them in. Do a calendar, follow up, make sure everything's completed. Sometimes I'm busy as a recommender. It's okay to keep on me, give me a heads up. Hey, the deadline's in 3 weeks. Dr. Sterk, can you get this done for me? That's fine. Additional materials, interview, making sure that you're ready and prepared for that. A standard email address. And this might not be a big deal for you, but it is for me. That I had somebody the other day, I was emailing a student, and it was Big Curly Hair Mama. Was his name. And
I've seen it.
I so bad. And parents have done the same thing. Students have done the same thing. Make it professional. I don't want to have to laugh and remember your email address 6 months or a year later. So please don't use your school address, because if you're a senior, your school email address will end. And sometimes there's follow-up emails after that, and you might miss important deadlines and information because you're not checking that school email anymore. So I always say, as you start the college process, first name, last name, at Gmail, at Hotmail, whatever you choose. And that's a good one that you should share with mom and dad, because when you're both checking it, everybody's kind of in the loop. You're not using it for your Netflix account. You're not using it for anything else except for college and scholarship information. Questions to know: is it renewable? Is it a one-time gift? And I think on this bottom here, process for collecting. Can you read the bottom? It's cut off.
Yeah, sorry.
I think it's process of like basically getting all your documentation and submitting your documentation for that. Anything you want to add to that? Some little tidbits or help?
No, I'm so glad that you touched on the email address, because that is so important. In the professional world, we communicate through email every day. Sometimes that's what people prefer. So if I'm having to communicate with students after they receive their scholarship to make sure their school gets their scholarship money, I don't want to have to laugh at your email address or just like ignore it because I think it's someone sending me spam. But yes, first name, last name, and at whatever preference that you choose.
And that's important when you're sending your documents too, is having it not, instead of just saying essay or recommendation, try, and I don't know if you guys have a requirement for that, but I just submitted one for a student that wanted my name, the student name, and then the program they were looking for. So anyway, just to keep it all nice and consistent and clear will really help, will help you guys. Absolutely. So I think a big thing that a lot of families don't know is once they submit the application, and you kind of already kind of brushed on this a little bit. So what happens as a student? Can you just walk us through the application's now done, the essay's done, the deadline's happened, now what?
So behind the scenes, we're working with our scholarship reviewers and training them, making sure they know how to get through the whole process, because their process is also online. So that's a really big part of the committee. So multiple scholarship readers will go over each student application. Right now, we're looking about 10 people per or 3 people per application, and that could change whether we receive more applications or less. But we do have multiple people reviewing each application just to make sure we're making it as equal as possible, so it's a fair chance for everyone to win the scholarship. And as that's happening, there are the select scholarships that require interviews. And so those scholarships, students, after their personal essays are reviewed and scored, a select amount of students will be chosen to go through the interview process. And from there is where their decision on who wins the scholarship will be. And then after that, you'll receive a notification early May, late April, if I'm being very ambitious. But just before the school year ends, you will know whether you received a scholarship or not, because we will award them either at your senior awards or some type of an award ceremony will deliver you your scholarship award. And then from there, after that's all done and through the summer, that's when we are really going to be in communication, getting your documents signed and ready to make sure that our distribution department can get your scholarship money to your school on time for you to start the fall or whatever semester that you wish to start school.
And so that money goes not to the student per se, but it goes to the college that they have selected to attend, correct?
Yes, it goes right to the financial services department of whichever college, university, technical school, vocational school, wherever the student is going, that's where the money is going to go. So it will not go into mom, dad's, or student's bank account.
And that's what's really nice is when, by this time, a lot of the families have already received what we call an award letter. So which basically breaks down their financial aid package, their institutional scholarships. And so the nice thing about these scholarships is that award letter has not yet included these local scholarships. So it's kind of a great bonus. So when you think about your award letter, you can just subtract out the $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, whatever the award amount is. And then that price will be deducted from, basically what they owe at the end of the year. You want to add anything to that? So,
and I know there's like a lot of like nervousness with students and making sure that their money's there. We do, and we work very hard to make sure that your money is there. But we also need you to work just as hard by getting us those papers, getting us your school schedule, your student ID, everything that we need to verify your tuition amount and make sure that you are indeed at the school that we are sending the money to.
Yeah, that is fantastic, because I know I had a student one time. These are all the things that I think about, keep me up at night. And they moved, and so some of their paperwork was, getting lost in the mail. And so it's really important that they stay in communication with you if something does come up, so that the money gets to where it belongs. Because you guys have your deadlines too of
Yes.
getting that money out. So fantastic. All right, you want to talk a little bit about the FAFSA.gov? I know you have put this in your FAFSA First campaign that you guys have going on.
Yes, and I really wanted to show the screenshot or the snapshot of the FAFSA homepage, just because some people may put .com or .org, and although those sites may look legitimate, they are not the place where you want to be submitting your personal information. So make sure that the page is FAFSA.gov, and from here you'll be able to create your FSA ID, which parent and student needs to have in order to sign the FAFSA form, and then you can complete your FAFSA. And it does not take long at all. It's very quick, as long as you have all of the documents that you need. And then once you have completed your FAFSA, it's very important for you to go back and check and make sure that everything is there and everything's correct, because sometimes if there's even one mistake, that can delay the process, and then you're wondering why your financial aid isn't at your school, or your school doesn't have any notification about it. That has happened, and it's very unfortunate. So just make sure you are logging back in and checking on that FAFSA application as you are going through the process.
Absolutely. And make sure you write down your ID.
Yes, and your password and your pen. Have like when I was in school, I had a college notebook where I kept all of my information. And so whenever I needed to, I just would refer to that. So I suggest doing that too, because sometimes some students I saw in schools, they like to, get their phone and they take pictures of it. And sometimes you can lose those. So something like physical that you can actually touch and hold in your hand, maybe a plan B option, if not a plan A. And this is from our FAFSA First campaign through the Future Makers Coalition. And this is what we've been giving out to schools, and it has all of our scholarship information on there, as well as FAFSA information. So if you need this or would like some of these cards, just let us know and we can get them to you.
Fantastic. All right. Well, I do have a few questions here. So talking about, we'll just kind of go into resources here before we close down. Can we recycle essays? Can we use kind of the same essay for multiple things?
Yes, and I would just make sure that those essays or whatever recyclable essay that you would like to use matches with the scholarships that you are applying for. So if you have like a really good essay that you've been using and you feel like it's really good and it really speaks to your person, go ahead and use it. But just make sure that if you do have scholarships that require any specific things in your essay, that you add those in.
Fantastic. And how about, do you have any scholarships for college transfers? So if they decide to transfer schools in the meantime, so I think it could go either two ways here. One, let's say they're at FSW and they decide to go to FGCU. Would their scholarship transfer from FSW if it's a local scholarship to FGCU?
They would have to really keep in communication with me about that. Is say if you have a 4-year renewable scholarship and you did 2 years at FSU or FSW and then you went to FGCU, let us know. So when we are admitting those scholarships for your 3rd year that you're at FGCU now, we know to send that check to FGCU. So just that communication with us, and we can make sure that the money goes to wherever the student is.
But if it's institutional specific, then it would not transfer for them. So if you were supposed to go to a specific program and a specific college and you change your mind, like if it was a nursing scholarship and now you're no longer a nursing.
Yes. No, you wouldn't be able to, because with the renewable scholarships, you're going to have to match the criteria each year. So your GPA would have to stay the same. Your major would have to stay the same for you to be eligible to receive your renewable scholarship again, if that makes sense.
Right. And I think there's a scholarship, Uncommon Friends, I believe it's called, here in Southwest Florida, that really is geared more towards maybe like young mothers, like kind of more unique people going back to school. Can you think of any other ones that you have, or maybe Collier has?
Yes, Collier has a bunch as well. We have some for single mothers. We have some for students who have completed 1 year of law school. We have some for students that are going to UF for medicine or going to their College of Medicine. So we do have some scholarships that are for undergraduates and graduates as well, not just for high school seniors.
And I think that's important to know because, again, talking about how many people are actually applying for that. So if you're a high school student now, keep that in the back of your mind. If you're going to UF medical school, there could be a possible scholarship for med school. That's fantastic. Yes. Yeah. So I think it's really, anybody really can use these websites that we're going to give them and look at different scholarships. So it's not just for high school students. I mean, it can be all different types of students can earn scholarships.
For sure.
Fantastic. So I think we answered those questions that were in there. So what I have on the screen are just some resources. So one of the things that I know you and I are both really proud to be is a future maker, which is basically it's an organization, the coalition that we have here in Southwest Florida, which we really want more students and adults entering in the workforce with good credentials, with degree attainment. And so you'll see the Future Makers Coalition has some fantastic website. And I'm going to show you that here, but I have been blogging for the Future Makers Coalition for the last year. And so I have tons of articles on the scholarship process. And I actually wrote a workbook that's really for all Florida students and basically walks you all the way from freshman year and academic planning, all the way to financial aid, scholarships, the application process. And you can all find that on my website, UnMazed.me.
And it's fantastic. I take that book with me everywhere whenever I go to schools. It really does a really great job. I mean, Dr. Sterk did an amazing job at really laying out the entire process. So I really would refer anyone to use this book, especially if you're planning on continuing your education.
Absolutely. I really wrote it for, there's just a lot of information out there, and parents and students just need better ways to communicate with each other and ask the right questions and communicate with their schools and the local community, hence why I do these webinars and these things. So I'm just going to share my screen real quick. And hopefully you guys can see my screen. Yes. Application. I think it's going. Share. There we go. All right. Ooh, it did something weird. So I just want to show you guys, this is the UnMazed.me website. There are tons of articles. If you just go under college resources, you'll see I have college terminology. I think is really important because a lot of words we use, and maybe we even used in this webinar, that a lot of parents are not familiar with. And so I've really broken down a nice guidebook for definitions. There's academic planning. There's a lot on just Florida universities, financial aid, the college process. So definitely check that out. And I also want to show you the Future Makers Coalition website. I love, 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 love their resource page. If you go under resources here, go under college planning, they have listed tons of links that are just amazing links that for every parent should really, you should bookmark this, because you can basically anything that you need will come from this website. And so one of the things that I like here is it has all of the local scholarships. There's the Community Foundation of Collier County, the Charlotte County Community Foundation, there's international scholarships, Gulf Coast Community, Moorhaven, Southwest Florida Community Foundation. So this is a great way. There's that Uncommon Friends one I was talking about, the micro scholarships. So I really like this website because there's so much information here for our Southwest Florida students that anybody can utilize. And then because we love the Southwest Florida Community Foundation, here's their website, and here you can see the scholarships and their descriptions, the way that you can log in and do the application is all right here. So some really great resources there. So I'll go back here to the webinar. And I believe, whoops, I turned my screen off. There we go. Hey there. Now we're big. Hey, so I think though, let's see. Oh, I don't want to start my presentation. Oh, there we are. Where we go. So I put the resources on there, and I believe you put your information. So is there anything else that you want to say as we kind of end this webinar?
Email me. Here's our office phone. We also have Facebook, Twitter. You can stay informed with us any way possible through social media, or you can email directly.
Fantastic. And then I put my information here on the back. Dr. Amanda Sterk with College UnMazed, and my website and my phone number as well if you have any questions. Thank you so much, Malaina, for coming and sharing
thank you.
with us on a Tuesday morning. Super informative. I've had a great time. And remember, if you guys are watching this video, feel free to put some questions in the comments area in the chat box, and we can answer those questions when they come in. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care, and we'll talk later. Bye-bye.